Okay, I feel like I need to clear up that not all isotopes are nuclear, fissile, fizzly, nuclearly explodable. So I postulated the idea of instead of like magical metals like mithril and adamantine being themselves, independent metallic chemical elements on the periodic table, instead perhaps there was a kind of magical isotope. I like the idea of like a new magical subatomic particle that exists in, whatever setting. Exists alongside, electrons and neutrons or protons. We can call it something like a magitron or a manatron. Megatron. They're called megatrons. And so quite a lot of people would immediately in the comments just like, oh, nukes, explosions. Like, oh, adamantine, mithril, they're fissile materials exploding. So fissile or fissile material is really, really rare. Which is good, because if it was more common, there'd be less, us. So an isotope is neither necessarily exploding, nor is it necessarily radioactive. An isotope is just when something has more or less neutrons than we're usually used to, I guess. Or like, I just looked up the definition before this, and I couldn't figure out if like the normal amount, if that's really a thing, is also considered an isotope or not, whatever. But the majority of elements can just have an extra neutron or two just within their atomic structure and not explode or start kicking off radiation. Like carbon and oxygen have perfectly stable isotopes. The idea that you could just kind of put something else in there and it would be like still chemically function the same way and be kind of fine, that's perfectly reasonable. Like, I guess since we're discussing nukes and we just want magical nukes, alright, let's do that. Because like my interpretation of magic is it always comes from thought and ideas and biases. So people's ideas and like symbolic associations of particular materials, I think the more people think about things, the more people consider particular materials, the more they become kind of empowered, the more these megatrons attach to the atomic structures of these particular atoms, ultimately making these atoms more, by percentage, more reactive magically. And in turn kind of become more themselves, more magically themselves, or how we consider them. So the magical iron isotopes become, tougher and even better at holding an edge than iron is. The magical titanium isotopes are even lighter and even tougher, that's mithril. But uranium, okay, hang on. Because if, like, uranium and plutonium become even more of what we consider them, because I think we all have, like, a basic, at all times, there's a certain, like, probably less than 1% of our minds, like, constantly vaguely aware of nuclear Armageddon. So probably uranium just progressively gets more explodey the more we regard it as being explodey. Positive feedback loop. They're never good. So no, just the regular magical isotopes are not necessarily explodey. But don't worry, we've definitely got other things to worry about.